you very much for being with us today, and thank you for agreeing to have an interview with us today. I'm looking forward to hearing all the insights on peace and work you do today. If you could please introduce yourself for our audience and the current work that you're working on.
Absolutely. So my name is Carrie Hemblen, and I'm the CEO and president of the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And what I have the wonderful honor of doing is talking about the importance of locally owned businesses. We believe that locally owned businesses are the backbone of our community. Because we experience 350 days of sunshine a year, it would be ridiculous for us not to pay attention to the impact of renewable energy and also recycling in businesses, because that helps reduce overhead. What we also get to do is help talk about creating sustainable communities, which means keeping money in our community, but also accessing resources from local businesses rather than from out of the state or out of the country. One of the things that we do a great deal, though, that we're known for all over the country is our activism in terms of connecting local businesses with protected public lands. And in this case, it's our national parks and our national monuments. And so what has happened is that local businesses have become stewards of our public lands, and we've helped facilitate that. In addition to being the CEO and president of the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce, I'm also a New Mexico State Senator, and I've been a senator for about a year. I've campaigned during a pandemic and reaching out to people who are ready for change. So in our last legislative session, I was able to help co-sponsor several important bits of legislation that have had difficulty passing the legislature before. On a personal note, I've been able to support legislation that helps provide low-cost funding, grants, or loans to Black, Brown, and Indigenous farmers and small farmers, and particularly women of color, because history shows that those communities are often neglected or overlooked in terms of financing for their work as small farmers. Also, I help sponsor legislation that would include state agencies collecting data for the LGBTQ community so that we can determine what resources and programs are needed. Those are some of the things that I've been able to do.
Thank you, Senator, for all your responses. It's very interesting to hear how you help out your local community through your organization. Now, in light of that, we want to ask you, what does world peace mean to you? How would you define world peace?
So, I look at, in my job, I have, the lovely opportunity of looking at things locally. I certainly agree that globally, there are so many people who are in their individual communities who are working toward peace. So my definition comes from more of a local perspective. And I look at peace not only as the cessation of war, but also calming the hardships that people throughout the world are experiencing. So I look at it from our community of those who are experiencing having to work paycheck to paycheck, able to get an education. We have in the border that we're along in the border community, we have people who are undocumented, who are living in our country and contributing to our economy and our communities, who have no protections and are continued to be attacked and deported and separated from their families. And so when we start looking at those individual factors of what make people struggle, that's where I look at that is my job to help address those issues. I think once we are able to address those issues, then we really can start looking at the broader picture of peace.
Senator, we agree that peace can be categorized and divided into different sectors. However, of course, helping out local people, community, and localized is very important and significant. But the way that this organization, HWPL, approaches seems quite unique, trying to change fundamental levels in creating world peace. How do you think about this?
Well, I think that this organization is fantastic in that you have the capacity to do this in terms of developing peace curriculum and reaching out to different faith communities and bringing people together, because I think fundamentally all of us believe that we need to end wars, we need to feed the hungry, we need to cure the sick, and raising up those who live in poverty. And when we look at those as a bigger picture and then understand where our role is in helping address each of these different particular areas, where I see this organization coming into play is really focusing on the element of peace and where the strengths are, and the connections and the collaborations that have been established can really be the most effective. And so by developing a peace curriculum, I think there are schools and colleges and universities all across the country and all across the world who would love to have those resources, but don't have the capacity to do that. And so this organization, given that this is the focus, can help bring those in to help complement other programs where those institutions or organizations are already trying to do this. All of us need different help. And I think what's happening is when we bring an organization like yours into play, we are able to kind of continue to put together the pieces of that puzzle to make sure that that happens.
Now, I want to ask you your insight on what do you think the view of world peace would be from the eyes of the young people of the United States, since there hasn't been any war or major conflict between countries in the land of the United States since quite a long time. And we wonder how you think the students will be looking at this concept of world peace.
Well, I know that, even though our youth in the United States has not experienced a war per se, like what we're traditionally used to as a war, I do feel that the last 4 years prior to the previous administration have been a war against them, have been a war against a lot of people. And I think that we've seen the youth really become active in politics, active in climate change discussions, active in environmentalism, active in social justice. So I think there is this perception that because that's the language we know, that when there is a group of people trying to oppress another group of people and trying to control them, it's kind of considered war. So I see that the youth in our country are fighting back. And it's absolutely incredible that they are becoming so articulate and so passionate about what they feel are things that we need to do in the United States to make sure that there is equity, to make sure that people are taken care of, and to make sure that we're protecting our planet. And so it's incredible. For me, it's inspiring to see young people doing what I know I never did at the age of 16. And I am so uplifted and hopeful because of their activism, but also having to acknowledge that we've put them in this position. We've put them in the position of them having to protest at state capitals, of having to use social media in ways that we never imagined would be used in order for their voices and their concerns to be heard. And so I am hopeful for the youth in our country, even though they haven't experienced war as many of us who are older know of it. They still consider the issues that they're fighting for as a war, as a battle, as something that needs to be finished so that we can move on and make sure that we are providing safety and food and security for people to live where they don't have to worry about locking their doors, where they don't have to worry about their own physical safety, where they don't have to worry about saving their lives.